I've shown you how I polished my brass, fancied up my drawers, shoot video out my backside, and even the junk in my trunk. Now I'll show you where the ElectroMagic happens. So one of the most unique features about the Safari Trek is the ElectroMagic bed. There's no bedroom, so just with the click of a button when you get tired at night, you just recline the chairs and voila, your double bed comes down from the ceiling. There's a nice vent up top for airflow. And there's still plenty of room for the people down on the jackknife. It comes down a good distance, so it's no problem just to jump on top. But as you can see, you know, I can sit up in bed no problem. And it'll even come down a little bit further than this, so it definitely gives us a lot more space not having a full bed in the unit, and obviously keeps the trek a lot shorter. So the edge of the bed here, previous to redoing it, was carpeting. It was in fair condition, but it had a lot of stains on it, and it was just, it wouldn't have tied in with our new interior, so this was a much better way to go. It was a piece of carpet, and on the edges it was on top of foam, so we ripped off the carpeting and the foam. The foam was glued on. We had to do a little bit of scraping, but for the most part it was pretty easy to come off. So once all the old stuff was ripped off and the surface was all cleaned up, we went ahead and put 1-inch foam surrounding the edges. So that's like, what's that, 3, 6, 9 or 10 inches of foam to coat each side, so 4 sides by the length. So it didn't actually take too much foam to go over this. It's foam from this point all the way around and down to about here. So this whole edge is nice and plush and foamy. We just used some glue, some actually construction adhesive or foam adhesive to connect the foam to the metal boxes that are underneath. The metal boxes cover the motors that run along inside. Once the foam was glued on, we tied some ratchet straps around and used some other pieces of PVC piping just to try to get a good contact and secure the foam while the glue dried. We cut 4 leather strips that match the sides of the bed and then stitched them to a common piece that matched the bottom dimensions of the bed. We took our leather and we connected the bottom piece first and then wrapped it around using spray adhesive. So the procedure for spray adhesive was we sprayed the back of the leather and we sprayed the top of the foam and then let it sit for about 10 minutes to become tacky, and then we just rolled it over. So that left a nice connection between the foam and the leather, and then we just had to worry about our edges. So if we just pull up the mattress here, you can see how everything's attached. The bottom of the bed does have some wooden structure that's fiberglassed over, so we were able to put some screws down here, and we also used some adhesive to bring this down, and we used some contact cement, if I remember correctly, to connect this to the back side. So because the wheels here that run up and down the track stick out, we couldn't really make anything that goes all the way around the bed. We actually had to make 4 separate corners and leave them open. So what we ended up doing was just folding the material around afterwards. You can see we made some pretty nice folds, and all these folds are just held together with super glue, believe it or not. We just folded in, put super glue underneath there and held it for, 10 seconds, and the super glue has just been holding no problem. So you can actually see it turned out quite well. You can see where the axle comes out for the gear there. We weren't able to go around that, so really happy with the way it turned out. Pretty surprising how well the super glue is held up. So it took some time and some imagination to figure out what we were going to do on the bottom of the bed here. Because it's all fiberglass and some parts are quite thin, we didn't really know how we were going to connect anything to the bottom and make it look good. What we ended up buying was 14-inch wide roll of metal flashing, the type of flashing you'd find in the roofing department at your local hardware store. Comes in a roll. The roll we bought was 50 feet long. It gave us plenty to use. We used it all over the RV for different projects, but this is the biggest one. The roll's a little annoying to work with. You definitely want to use gloves because this stuff is sharp. But all I did was just make my measurements, and then I overlapped by about an inch between pieces here. So these are 14 inches wide. And actually the overlap's probably more like 3 inches. Working on the bench, I cut this all to size. I cut 6 strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strips in total. And then on the bench, I pre-drilled them all. I overlapped them and pre-drilled them all so that the holes would line up. Then I used some nice dressed up washers to make sure that it looked better, which turned out really nice. I'm really happy with that. And then I finished off the edge, if you can see, with this rubber edging. Really happy how close we were able to match the grays. And you can see how well these washers really finish off the screw heads. So the purpose of this was because, first off, to hold everything in place and dress it up. But the other reasoning was I wanted something kind of cool underneath here. And so what we've done here is we've actually used magnets. So because this is all metal now, we can use magnets in all the brochures and maps and of places we go. We can stick them all up on the bottom here. Photos and whatever you want to do. It makes a collage of all the places we go, so it's pretty cool. We're really happy with the way it turned out. On top here we have our 4-inch foam mattress, and then we've also added a 1-inch like egg cart style piece of foam on top. We've been very comfortable sleeping 2 people on top of it. So this is the ceiling above the bed that we replaced. Previously it was carpeting as well, and it was rotting out a little bit because the old vent was leaking and causing some water stains and some rot. So we took the old carpet down and put up this hardboard in its place. It actually looks pretty good. Our plan is to go ahead and finish it with either some adhesive wallpaper type, maybe a mural, maybe some stars or something a bit more mural than just regular paint. So the vent we put in here is just a manual vent. There's no fan. We just went simple with it. Just takes a couple turns and then it's open. You can see we have a vent cover on top here, so we're able to keep it open while we're sleeping, whether it's raining or not. It actually works really well. It provides a lot of nice ventilation so it doesn't get too hot in here during the night. These custom storage bins we've made have worked out really well. They're styled a little bit like an aircraft overhead luggage. And so what we're able to do is stick all our pillows and blankets in here when we get up each day. And because the bed goes right up into the ceiling, there's no space to store that stuff on top. So we just leave a sheet on the bed, and then we put our pillows and our blankets into here and close it up for the day. I've installed a USB plug here, so when we're sleeping at night, we can plug in our phones or do whatever we want. And that's just tying into the same power that runs the lights on the bottom of the bed. So here's our stairs to the bed. It's actually storage containers from IKEA. We're just walking through IKEA and noticed how well this furniture would work as stairs, and so we bought it, gave it a nice paint job, and installed it. We've been really happy with how well it works to get up into the bed. So the bed here works on AC motors to raise and lower. Now that's great. That's great when you're plugged in at an RV park or when you have the generator running. But when you're just boondocking, operating on your house batteries are actually DC voltage. So they're going to be 12 volts DC. So they're not going to run our AC motors of our bed. So the difficult part was trying to figure out how to be able to work the bed up and down without firing up the generator. In the morning, it's fine to raise the bed back up. But if it's nighttime, you don't really want to have to crank up the generator just to lower your bed. You know, it could be pretty late. You might have people around, you might not. Either way, it's not ideal to crank up the generator every time you want your bed to go up and down. So I had to come up with a pretty interesting solution to that, and I think I did a pretty good job. Come check it out. So in the bathroom here, if I open up this, you can see I've made a little switch here. I made this plate out of the same flashing that I used for the bottom of the bed, and I just painted it black. And I've installed this little switch here. This little switch runs out to my inverter. So whenever I want AC power within the RV, I can just flick that switch. I'm using a 1000 watt inverter, so it's not gonna run everything all the time. I can't run the AC off it,
But what I can do is I can run a coffee grinder, I can run the bed, which is the main part. I can run any little appliances I want to. Anytime I need AC power, it's no problem. Charge the laptops, it works great.
So here I have my solar charger. Here I have a 30 amp charger that runs off the shore power to keep my batteries charged. And here I have a contactor. The contactor is what helps me switch between inverter AC and the shore power AC. So I've removed the old switch for the inverter, and that's what's installed in the bathroom underneath the cabinet. And then this plug here runs up to my contactor. So whenever I have shore power, this contactor automatically switches over to provide power all over the AC. But whenever I don't have shore power, this contactor switches over and connects the inverter to power all the AC in the RV. The AC will only work when I have the switch in the on position underneath the vanity and whenever shore power is not connected. So this is a pretty nice unit. It's very simple. When shore power is on, it automatically connects to shore power. When shore power drops off, it falls back out and connects to the inverter. So after all that hard work, all the design time, and all the time spent putting all the bed back together, it turned out amazingly.
For all the tips and tricks on living a nomadic adventure, check out lifeonroute.com. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the fun.